Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into the Super Boss 15-star event with no new batch characters on our particular team. Now, this is a Super Boss event. It is a 15-star quest, and look, they are stereotypically quite challenging, especially when an anniversary exclusive character comes out. The worldwide anniversary for the World Cruise, stereotypically, is probably, arguably, the worst Super Boss that we have to go up against for the entire year. Last year's one for the Fearsome Foes was pretty annoying. I remember the ASL batch. That one was pretty cringe. Obviously, the half-year anniversaries, they can be pretty challenging too. Like when we had Luffy and Shanks for the Film Red celebration, and then when we had the Big Mom, Katakuri, and Roger Relic 1 last year. So just be mindful, in today's video, you guys are going to probably see a lot of like high-end characters, some illustrious supports. And look, I will be sort of showcasing these teams when the event does go live, but just be mindful, these are not going to be the highest damage teams. They want you to summon, like it's a gacha game, that they want you to pull the shiny new character with pull out mom's credit card, so that way you can just do as much damage as possible. But remember, it's Super Boss, like the event's kind of been killed because of the damage cap, so at the end of the day, like just have fun. Like, have fun with it. But today, what we're doing is we're prioritizing no new batch characters on our teams. We will be using a Luffy and, no, well, not that unit either, Zoro and Kaku as a friend counter for one of the fights, as well as the Caulifla for the other fight. Now, you should be able to find a lot of these characters because, like, it's the worldwide celebration, world cruise. People like to spend money and go crazy. So, hopefully it'll help you guys out. And if it does, but like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in. Alright, so once again, we're going to start off with the Dex variation, and once again, I do apologize. I'm quite nasally at the moment, so apologies for the audio quality, all the grossness, all that fun stuff. But taking on the 15-star Dex fight, Shooter / Cerebrals go to the good stuff. On turn 2, there's normal attacks only. Your switch uses for Super Switch activation reversed by 2. So basically, if you get this, where it gives you 15 turns of like Super Swap, or sorry, 10 turns, and then just reverse it by 2. So it's like, I don't know what the fucking point is. Like, why give us 10 turns of Super Swap cooldown to then just reverse it by 2? Like, I get it, you're making characters give that in their specials now, but like, this artificial difficulty shit just pisses me off. 5 turns of Despair on your friend captain, which they kind of want you to use S-Snake here. But that'll go down to 2 turns, just remember, because of sockets. 2 turns of defense up, 4 turns of damage reduction, and then if you remove normal attacks only, so basically just to counter Brook, a whole bunch of nasty shit happens. On defeat, you get a crewmate swap. A random crewmate becomes your captain for 5 turns, and after 1 turn, just a whole bunch of bad shit happens. You still have to deal with the crewmate swap, nullify potential abilities, special reverse, just a whole bunch of nasty shit. You do not want to pass 1 turn. I'm just telling you right now, do not pass 1 turn. You can chase this though, this 5-turn crewmate swap. You can basically put the character you want in the middle right as whatever character you want to become captain, and you can actually just like chase this ability. On Battle 3, Soba Mask has full immunity, immune to blow away, and all of that nasty stuff. He's weak to shooter characters. He puts up normal attacks only. He removes type effects, so you can't use any color affinity buff. He gives you 3 turns of special reverse. Your captain will actually get a super block slot, and then the rest of the team gets block slots, which is just odd. Now, obviously, they want you to use Luffy and Lucci here, so that way they can turn everyone's orbs into match it or into tandem. They get a Dex super type, 7 turns of special bind, 6 turns of despair, which go down to 3 after sockets, and then there's 6 turns of attacking with any type orb, tandem, 1 or recovery. You get a 99% attack down, which is 90% attack down. On top of that, if you remove all normal attacks only, but Brook counters, you can't do that. And if you do any conditional buff, you are going to lose all your beneficial effects. After 1 turn, you get a slot barrier for block slots, and it's just very annoying times when that comes up. But obviously they want you to run the new Luffy Lucci, and they want you to run Zoro Kaku. They want you to do all that fun stuff, which I will have a video out in the future if you guys did manage to pull them. But today we are prioritizing on not using them, and this team is fucking jank, man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how this team's gonna go. I don't even know if let me know in the comment section below if you guys can think of any ways to change this. But there is so much going on in this fight that you kind of like shoehorned into bringing just units that don't really do too much for the team. So on turn 2, you do have some despair on your friend captain. This is the team that's using a Zoro and Kaku, by the way. Your friend captain's going to get despaired. You have to deal with 2 turns of defense up and 4 turns of damage reduction. Now, we are going to start with Kaku as our captain. So Kaku as a captain will give 5 turns of a conditional buff. Let me just bring him up quickly. He will bring up 5 turns of a conditional buff for no, you can't do Zoku. It's just dumb. It doesn't work like that, man. Yeah, he'll give you 5 turns of a conditional buff to ignite and defense down. However, there is all that stupid shit where you lose super swap charges. But basically, what you want from him is to get this increased damage taken effect. No, you want to start as Zoro. Zora, does Zora have the Ignite? Yeah, Zora. Okay. Zora has the Ignite. Sick. So Zora has the Ignite effect where for 3 times or the defense down, but like the Ignite's the one that we actually really want. So we're going to get this for 5 turns, and they're also going to have their super swap charge. So then on turn 1, we can actually super swap with the character. And when you super swap with this unit, you actually set defense to 0, which obviously works in tandem with that conditional buff. But they extend the duration of the crew's damage dealt to specific enemies for 2 turns. And then you can actually use the EX Super as well, which we'll probably do on like the next turn, because you're in the dual form. You can use this EX ability to get the tap timing bonus, which is kind of fun. And then they increase chain lock. Actually, you probably don't need that. Now I'm thinking about it, because like Luffy does this, and yeah, Luffy's gonna do it, but like we don't really care. So you can use that on turn 2 as well. It's just gonna get you super classes and stuff like that. But the idea of this is so that you can extend that conditional buff into the final stage, and you don't have to worry about Luffy's conditional buff, because well, actually you can actually start with either of them actually, because we have both for this particular team. And the idea here is that we're not using a double stacking conditional buff, and that will be our conditional boost on the final stage. Whether you start as Zoro, whether you start as Kaku, it actually doesn't matter, because you have Ignite and you have increased damage taken for both these particular characters, being Luffy and the Ace. To deal with turn 2, we're going to use the special of Roger Gaban. Roger Gaban, with their captain shift ability, can switch into captain and then increases the crit rate chance by 30% for strengthening characters. Works really nicely. And on top of that, you can then tap with them to remove the defense up, to remove the damage reduction. Because you're in Kaku and Zoro as well, they'll also remove some damage reduction. But I slapped on the Tashigi support on this particular character, so then that way we can use their special on turn 2 as well, and that way we get an attack boost for our int, slashes, and our strength units, and that way we just have to literally tap with them, and they're going to remove the damage reduction. I slapped the Brook support on Nami to remove defense up, but that is completely, like, you actually just don't need the support. Like they're going to remove the defense up and the damage reduction. You just don't need that support at all. And that's turn 2. So your turn 2, you're pretty much covered. You'll come out of Zoro and Kaku, but then you can use this special Zoro Kaku. You go back into their dual form, so like it's not that big of a deal. I actually don't really know. Does Zoro and Kaku have anything like different with their special if they do it in their dual form? I don't think they do. I think they still give the chain boundary, and they still give the chain boost. But if they do something different, it's not going to matter anyway. Nah, it's not going to matter. You're just going to use them for this 3.0 chain boundary and the 2.0 chain boost. On top of that, you're removing the 6 turns of the very annoying attack down with a certain chain multiplier. They're also going to be your super tandem, so just try and find a friend captain that has the highest super tandem ability for this particular team, and that's going to work out nice and hunky-dory. But you do have to deal with, very pesky, 3 turns of special reverse. On top of that, you have to deal with special mind, and you have to deal with fucking despair. So, for this, Nami has double special activation. She's actually going to take care of the despair on turn 2. I forgot to mention that. You're going to use her special. Remove 2 turns of despair. So that way you take care of that. And then on the final stage, you have Chopper and the Marco support on Ace to deal with all the special bind, as well as deal with all of the despair. So Chopper removes 6 turns of despair, and he also removes 5 turns of special bind. On top of that, Marco's going to remove the rest there. Now, unfortunately, I'm just looking at this now, and I actually don't have a way of getting Chopper's cooldowns all the way. Because Brulee is only going to drop it down by 2 turns. It's not actually going to drop it down by 3 turns. Unless you're immune to special bind. Are you immune to special bind? Special reverse? No. Interesting. Okay, that's a problem. Alright, so I had to take out Chopper. We brought in Usopp. This should still work. So, let's take it back to the beginning, just because like now I'm completely muddled. But on turn 1, we're going to super swap with Zoro Kaku. Use the Zoro Kaku EX. Do all that fun stuff, moving to turn 2. Turn 2, we're going to use the Nami special to remove the despair on our friend captain. Then we're going to super switch and captain shift our Roger Gaban into captain. And that way we can use their special, and then we can basically remove the damage reduction and the defense up with the perfect critical hit from Roger Gaban and the Tashigi spot. When we move to the final stage, we are going to get slapped with all that special bind, special reverse, all that fun shenaniganry, but we are going to be able to get around most of it thanks to the Sabo support for removing 2 turns of special bind and 2 turns of despair. We can then use the Usopp special. Usopp is going to give cooldowns to the entire crew for 1 cooldown and then 2 to the captains. Now, you can swap out of Roger Rayleigh Gaban at this particular point, and then bring Luffy back into your captain, and then use the Luffy EX ability, and then use the Luffy special. That's going to give you an increased damage taken and a weakening effect. Plus, fighters are going to get a territory as well. So that's the whole point there. But Luffy's also going to get a Tandem Orb thanks to Beppo. Before you do that, though, you do want to make sure that you use the A special, because you get a full board of Dex Orbs. So on the final stage, you're going to have to use the Usopp special first, get a whole bunch of cooldowns. Then you can use the Ace special to get the Orb buff. You're going to have the attack boost of Roger Rayleigh Gaban still. Use the Nami special to get the last little bit of cooldown and the Despair removal. Then you can shift out of captain from Roger Rayleigh Gaban into Luffy, use the Luffy EX, use the Luffy special, and then finish it off with Zoro and Kaku for the chain boundary, chain boost, and removing the attack down with multiplier. With this, you'll have an attack boost for 3 of your units. Your 3 units being Roger Rayleigh Gaban, your Luffy, and your Zoro Kaku. You're going to be rushing with Ace, so you want to rush with Ace into Nami, Usopp, then you want to hit with, or actually no, you want to rush with Ace, and then hit Roger Rayleigh Gaban, because remember, Roger Rayleigh Gaban, they're going to have that super block orb, which is going to be very, very annoying to deal with. Now, if you have them at level Limb Break 5, or if you have them at Final Tap level 5, they have the ability to bypass that very annoying ability, and they can actually give themselves a, what's it called? Do they give themselves just a normal type orb? And they can just give themselves a normal type orb. And what that's going to do is that's just going to allow you to remove that super block orb. However, if you have a higher final tap of Luffy, then you ideally want to go Rush Ace, hit with Roger Rayleigh Gaban, Usopp, Nami, Zoro Kaku, finish it off with Luffy. But if you have a higher Roger Rayleigh Gaban, then you want to go Ace, Usopp, Nami, Zoro Kaku, Luffy, and then finish it off with the Roger Rayleigh Gaban unit. And so that's the team. Like I said, it's fucking jank as hell, but I will test it, and hopefully it will work out quite nicely for you guys. Moving on to the strength fight, this one is a little bit more straightforward. As long as you bring Khalifa the friend captain, you are going to be in just like a way better position. Cerebral, Powerhouse, and Fighters, not Cerebral. Fighters, Shooters, and Powerhouse get all the good stuff. On turn 2, you lose 1 turn of your super swaps. You get normal attacks only, 5 turns of ship bind, 2 turns special reverse, and there's a barrier for 3 tandem orbs for 2 turns. If you use Brook strats, you will just get absolutely cucked, and after 1 turn, a whole bunch of bad shit happens. On battle 3, Submaster is immune to blow away. He's immune to percent damage reduction, and he has weakness to fighter, which means Sabo is coming back into play, baby. Percent damage cut of 80% of your HP, normal attacks only, no type effects, 6 turns of chain multiply growth reduction, 2 turns of special super swap reverse, sorry, 1 turn of super swap reverse, 6 turns of top row middle right paralysis, and then there is a super type for strength, and then your bottom row middle left will be blinded, full immunity except weakness, and then 3 turns of resilience. If you use Brook strats, again, you'll get cucked, and after 1 turn, you have to deal with 2 turns of defense and normal attacks only. So, team looks like this. Pretty straightforward. We're going to be using a Khalifa friend captain. The Khalifa friend captain basically covers you for fucking everything, man. Like literally covers you for goddamn everything. But on turn 2, we're going to use the Sabo EX. Now, the Sabo EX gives us a full board of tandem orbs, and that way you can just obviously get a nice orb buff for your fighter characters. He increases base stats, but like it's like whatever. And the idea here is that way we don't have to use the Khalifa special, and then you can just use the tandem orbs to break through the barrier. So it works out quite nicely. On the final stage, after you've done that, you can move into the final stage. You do want to sort of switch with your Wipe It and Ace unit though, just so that way you're still building up the super swap charges. You don't really need to use Robin and Jinbei. Robin and Jinbei are great though. They're basically here to meet meet the criteria for both Sabo and for Wipe It and Ace. So just be mindful of that. What you actually can do here is, if you really want to, you can use the superclass of Khalifa to give yourself a color affinity buff, depending what the typing is, and that way you can save Sabo's EX for the final stage. That way you get the tandem orbs, and you can just get a super tandem ability there. But it's going to sort of like come down to like what's going on in the actual quest, because it's going to be a little bit frustrating with that particular barrier. Khalifa's going to have barrier penetration, which is great. I don't know if this Lucci does. I don't think this Lucci has barrier pen, but I know the Khalifa definitely does. No, so Lucci doesn't. But if you can find a way, like just with your, like say your Khalifa superclass, or you could maybe use like the Robin and Jinbei special there, so that, and then the swap of Wipe It and Ace. You could use the super EX of Luffy as well. That's definitely another play that you guys can do to get like that color affinity. And if you can just kill with that on turn 2 and save the EX of Sabo, like that's just gonna be much better. But for now, I slapped on the Momo support there on Luffy just to deal with the resilience on the final stage. And the downside to using Sabo's EX on turn 2 is that you don't have Tandem Orbs on turn 3, which is a little bit of a shame, but look, it is what it is. Moving into the final stage for this particular quest, Cleaver's going to give you a whole bunch of overhealing with her Captain ability. So this 80% HP card, whilst it's going to be pretty shit, it's not the end of the world, because you will have the overheal mechanic, so that way you can just sort of be in a better position. Cleaver's basically going to take care of literally everything here. The chain multiply growth reduction, the bind, the paralysis. She literally deals with it all. Like, you just, all of the utility you need, she's got you covered. But she also gives you an extra attack buff. So she gives you an extra little fun attack boost if you have an attack boost or an orb boost live. So what you want to do is you want to use the Lucci special and the Luffy special first. So if you use Lucci, you get an orb buff for powerhouse and shooter characters, which pretty much this whole team actually is, or all the hitters are anyway. And then you can use Luffy to increase the orb buff, get the attack boost, and then use Caulifla, remove all the nasty effects, and that way you have a full body orbs as well as an orb buff, attack boost, and you have the what's it called? You have that like tap timing bonus, like after you hit 3 perfects. After that, you can super swap with Wiping and Ace, use the EX of the super class. I think it's the super class. Super class, super type of Caulifla. Use the super swap of Wiping and Ace. Use the Wiping and Ace special. You can use their EX. You have base stats there, and then you can use Sabo for the that really fun class affinity buff. So they're the teams. Like I said, without the new units, like, it's going to be pretty challenging. Stay tuned for the playthrough stuff, because I always like to put out these particular videos early on when the Super Boss goes live to sort of showcase how these teams do operate, because I know I can ramble and sort of get lost in my own head a little bit sometimes. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, but like button, hit subscribe, and do like good stuff. Most importantly, if you guys are in this beautiful world, please enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let's